About a year and a half ago, Mike Detillier introduced us to the term Football Purgatory. We've been using it ever since. That being said, there may be no other time since the inception of this show 4+ years ago where both the Saints and LSU are as deep into it as they are right now. Seems like perfect timing to bring Mike in and ask him what he thinks, along with what changes should and will be made. When will the Saints go from Rattler to Shuck? Who will be the next man up at running back? Who will old be replaced with young? And I don't mean Chase Young. For LSU, just how hot is the fire under Brian Kelly's keister? Do the Tigers still have time to turn it around this season? What would it take to buy Kelly out if they keep falling further into purgatory? Oh, and we'll also talk about the Pelicans season opener tonight on the road and what that schedule looks like the first couple of weeks. And Gabe is here as we try to stay hot with our primetime NFL picks. What do we like for Thursday night football in week 8? You'll have to stick around and find out as we open the Dattitude podcast right now.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Happy hump day! Today's a little bit better than Monday, wasn't it? Isn't it? You got over the blues from this past weekend? I hope so. We're going to try to move. Look, I can't promise today's going to be super bright and cheery, but we're going to do the best we can because we're going to talk about a lot of the future. And who knows? Maybe Mike will think that LSU still has time and the Saints can, I don't know, make it fun still. We'll see. We've got plenty to talk about. It is Guest Wednesday. We have one of our favorites on this morning. You know that. Mike Detillier is here at about 11:25 or 11:30 to talk Saints and LSU. We'll ask him all the questions you can imagine. And if we don't, you can feel free to jump in. Why? Because this is Dattitude, and that's what we do. It's episode number 431 presented by Evangeline Securities for a Wednesday, October the 22nd, 2025. If you're new here and you're wondering, who is this loudmouth? I've been seeing this dude on YouTube, and I don't know why, and I want to check this out. Well, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're giving us a chance. My name is Jim Derry. I've been on the New Orleans sports media scene for 35 years. That's right. I started as a sports writer at the Times. Well, actually, I started as a correspondent, and then part-time writer, and then agate clerk for a long time, paginator. I've done it all. Started the paper in 1990, and I am still here. I thank you for being a part of the Det family. What is most special about our show? If you don't know this already, well, like we talked about, you talk to us, we talk back. I see we already got a lot of comments in the queue on a Wednesday. That's a lot for a Wednesday to get started here. We will get to those in just a minute, but if you talk to us, we will talk back to you. I promise, unless you are just an absolute numbnuts. And even then, we'll probably still talk to you. Who knows? You can talk to Mike later on. We are live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And if you're not watching us live and you just want to talk to me after the fact, you can find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. via email, jderry@theadvocate.com. And lastly, this is, I shouldn't have to say this by now. I don't know. What are y'all waiting for? If you have not subscribed to the Dattitude YouTube channel, we had a really good week. The last week was slow. With new subscribers. This week we've had quite a few. I don't know if it was my short on the rat after the instant reaction from Sunday. I don't know what it is, but today this has been a pretty good week. So anyway, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. Give us a like, thumbs up, click the little bell, all that good stuff. All right, what is on the show? It's on the show. You can see it on your screen if you're listening after the fact. Mike Detillier is on the show. We love to have him on about once every couple months. And today I've been kind of waiting to see when the best time I thought would be to bring him on. I think it's today. I mean, I've used the word nadir before, and I know that's not a word that would be in a West Banker's vocabulary normally, but nadir means, the bottom, the absolute bottom. And I don't think we're quite there. Well, I mean, you hope we're there, I guess. I mean, LSU's 5-2. I mean, I keep saying this. I mean, it could be worse. Are we spoiled fans? No, LSU fans should expect to be in the conversation for the college football. Now that there are 12 teams, it's one thing when there's 4. When there are 12 teams, you should expect for your team to be in the conversation for the college football playoffs at LSU. And so that's why it's, how hot is that fire? We're going to ask Mike about that. We're going to start with LSU with Mike. We're going to get into Saints. And look, this is not going to be a let's get rid of the rat show. That's not what this show's about. I know that's what last Wednesday devolved into, but that's not what today's going to be. I mean, or was it Wednesday? I think it was last Wednesday, whatever it was, or maybe it was last Monday. I don't know, whatever it was. That's not happening today. We are going to talk to Mike and ask him about that, but we're also going to talk about the running back situation is as dire as it's been in a long time. I mean, with Kendry Miller out for the season, you got a 6th-round pick coming in at rookie. What else do you have? It's not much else there. We'll talk to him about that. My big question also is, when do this team, and they've already kind of started doing it, but do we really see a major change, exchanging old for new? I don't know. I kind of think that it's a good idea, right? Breaking news, by the way. I just saw this. Okay, maybe you could talk about this later and find out a little bit more. Not it's that big of a deal, but the NFL is moving the Pro Bowl festivities to Tuesday of Super Bowl week. Why are we still doing the Pro Bowl? Who cares? I mean, seriously. Why would we possibly even care about the Pro Bowl? And who the hell's going to care about it on a Tuesday? I mean, as it is, really, Super Bowl week, football's over. You're just waiting for the game. Not everybody's like nutbags like us who are watching it. Is anybody going to watch that crap on a Tuesday night? No. That's crazy. Anyway, Gabe will find out more about that. He'll be on after Mike later on. Again, we're going to give our Thursday night football picks. We have been hot Monday night. We told you. What did we tell you on Monday? Gabe's pick, he picked against his Texans, and he was right. What was my pick? What was my pick? You don't remember? Detroit Lions, -6 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if it wasn't for Dan Campbell, Detroit would have won by like 30. He single-handedly kept Tampa in the game. Anyway, he covered. It was good. And if you're new here, by the way, I don't like Dan Campbell. I think he's a great motivator. He's a fantastic motivator. If he ever gets out of the NFL, he could probably go fire people up and give speeches, make lots of money doing it. He's not a good football coach. I mean, honestly, does any team in the NFL, I mean this sincerely, not to go off on a tangent, does any team in the NFL have as much talent as Detroit? I don't think so. I think Detroit has the most talent overall from head to toe, offense and defense, and even special teams, as any team in the NFL. But some of the decisions that dude makes, insane. My opinion. Gabe says Philly. Yeah, you got a point. I don't think he's a good coach either. It's a whole different. They won despite him last year. But I had to give him his due. They did beat the crap out of the Chiefs, and they had a great game plan for the Chiefs. Anyway, what else we got before we get to the comments? World Series, Dodgers, Blue Jays. I just don't think I'm going to watch all that much. I'd like to. I can't say I care. Look, I'm a baseball dude, and if I don't care, I know y'all don't care. I mean, most of y'all here are probably not baseball dudes or dudettes. I was rooting for the Mariners. If the Mariners would have won, and sorry, Zach, I know he's probably listening to this after the fact. Sorry, Zach. If the Mariners would have won, I would have had an interest, and I could have rooted against the Dodgers by watching the Mariners. I just don't have a rooting interest now. I mean, I guess I'm rooting for the Dodgers. I don't care that much. Whatever. NBA Open last night. Here's a speculation. I'd like to get your thoughts in the comments. I did not watch a single second last night, even though that I was kind of keeping up, looking at my phone and like seeing what was going on. I was following the score a little bit, and I knew it was a super tight game, and I still didn't turn it on. I have Peacock, I just didn't turn it on. I think that this football season has drained me already. It's only October 22nd. I really think that this season in football has kind of like taken some of the oomph out of me. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's taking away excitement from other sports. Maybe I'll change my mind later. I am going to watch the Pels tonight. We are going to talk about the Pels before Mike comes on in just a little bit. Unfortunately, we don't have a ton of time to talk about the Pelicans today. We will in the near future. I hope to have a guest in the near future, either next Wednesday or the Wednesday after. It's sometime soon, talking about Pelicans. And I do want to spend a segment talking about the Pelicans. But opening night tonight at Memphis. The key for them is we'll get to it in a minute. But 7 of their first 10 games on the road. How are they going to look? They've got some injuries coming off of injuries. We'll get to them in a minute. All right, I do want to get to the comments this morning. What do we have here? Again, I am Ron Burgundy. I click on them. You type them in. I'm probably going to read most of it. Morning, everybody. Brian Cavett says Saints are a lost cause, and what is really bugging him? What is wrong with LSU's run game? That's been a problem since the beginning of the season. It's not all on the O-line. I mean, think about it. The LSU have been talking about the lack of depth at running back since the beginning of the season. Way it's shaping up 8 wins. I mean, it's a possibility. I still think they have a good shot at 9. We'll see. I know Gabe disagrees with me. We'll see. Good morning, Cedric. Welcome. Charles says, good morning. Well, Tampa Bay is who we thought they were. Why do you say that? That's kind of a crazy statement. I don't agree with that at all. They are banged up. Tampa Bay is clearly, and it's not even close, the best team in the NFC South. I don't agree with that at all. I think Tampa Bay's banged up. They played on the road at Detroit, and Baker Mayfield is still an MVP candidate. I think it's crazy. I mean, I love you, Charles, but I don't think that's a great take. UBN, good morning. Great to have our favorite guest on this boring Wednesday. Why is the NBA starting already? I've always wondered that. Why do they start in October? I'm not a fan of the NBA starting in October. You think it gets earlier every year, but it really doesn't. It's been this week for a while now, and I think even not that 8-10 years ago, it used to start around Halloween, so it's not that much earlier. But yeah, it's too early. Basketball should start in the middle of November. It's my opinion. Rocky's here. Good morning. Not a good time at Saints land, but hump day anyway. Hump day anyway. It is hump day. What else we got? Who Dat Daddy is here. Happy Pels opening night. How are y'all? We're pretty good. You know what? As I go forward, I'm going to put the Pels slide up. Just because it's the first time I've had a Pels slide in a long time. Let's see what we got here. Paul Laporte. Will Saints management admit they made a mistake if Tyler Shuck doesn't pan out? No. I mean, I guess technically they would if they would draft one. If they would draft a quarterback in the first round, I guess next year, I guess that would technically be admitting that they made a mistake. They were desperate, man. They were desperate. Don't give me. We'll get there. Daryl Hayden, good morning. Could I please ask Mike Detillier his thoughts on Taylon Green, quarterback? I tell you what, at Arkansas, when he comes on, type it in again because I'll forget. I promise you I'm going to forget. Hakeem, can't wait to hear the blaming on today's show. Blaming for what? Everyone's to blame. Big dog. Everyone's to blame. I'm not blaming anyone. They all stink. That's why it's time to see some changes, Hakeem. They've got to make changes with this team. That's my point. Chris Frank, will we finally see Loomis fired or at least moved out of GM? He has destroyed this organization. No, you won't. Unless he wants to quit. If he wants to quit, he will. If he doesn't, he won't. So that's your answer. Not going anywhere if he doesn't want to go anywhere. I mean, I know why y'all keep getting yourselves upset about this. Phil Mariande, good morning. Enjoyed my dime Monday. Thank you. Totally spot on. We don't always agree, but give credit where it's due. Still no Shuck. Yeah, well, you're going to see him soon enough. I don't think it's going to happen this week. But, if the rat looks like he looked at the other day, I think you will see him at some point. This is a week where I think that if he had, and I don't think he's gonna, I think he'll bounce back and play a little bit better. Okay. And what worries me about this 1-6 team is if he keeps, and I've said this before, his leash is shorter now, but if he keeps playing, okay, they're not going to pull him, at least not this week. But at some point, you got to see what you got. Again, we know, you know this already. I just don't know when they're going to do it. But his leash is a lot shorter. If he plays the first half this week like he played last week, then I think you'll see Tyler Shuck in the second half. We'll see. No spoiler alerts. I don't want to tell you what I'm going to pick for this week, but you notice that spread is going down. If you can't see it on the bottom left hand of your screen, it was 6.5 on Monday. It's now 4.5. Yes, the Buccaneers are banged up. They are really banged up, but that is a major dip. 6.5 to 4.5. Now it's not going through any key number, but still 6.5 to 4.5. A 2-point swing. That's pretty big for me. We'll see. The Saints, that means that right now they're saying that the Saints would be about a touchdown underdog on a neutral field. That's the gap between Tampa Bay and the Saints right now? I don't think so. I don't want to get it. It's like overreaction. You can still have overreaction in the middle of the season. I don't want to overreact from as bad as they played either their worst game or second to worst game this past week in Chicago. And now they're back at home. Maybe they'll play better. I don't know. I think you'll see an inspired Spencer Rattler. I think he knows now his job is absolutely on the line. I think he'll play better. I do. Earl's picks, not over the Blues. You're even worried about our coach, honestly. The Saints coach? Nah, he's not going anywhere. Mark Gapsky, good morning. Start Shuck now. Won't happen. Cedric says we're in a rebuild. Like they say, let's rebuild with Tyler, not a quarterback that's going to be a backup in the future. The point, Cedric, I think at least, and as Charles Mangus also says, time to start Shuck. The point is, Cedric, that you at least got to find out what you got in Shuck, right? That's my opinion. S. Callie, good morning. Who Dat Nation? Hello, everybody. Rocky says truly thinks Kellen Moore isn't going to switch to Shuck. He's going to switch to Shuck. Not going to do it this week. There's zero, and I mean that. And I have stopped using this for the most part, but I'm going to tell you right now. There's a 0.0% chance that Rattler, even if he's healthy, that Rattler starts all 17 games. 0.0. Even if he keeps playing, okay. They're not just going to stick with Rattler. At some point, if you're 2-8 or whatever, or 1-9 or whatever it is, you have to make the change. They're going to make the change. Oh boy! All right, Chris, we get it. You hate Loomis, okay? Chris Frank says Saints will continue to be at the bottom till Loomis is no longer GM. They won the Super Bowl with Loomis as GM. I'm going to say I have to say this about once a month, okay? Look. I understand the I don't want to say contempt. I don't whatever the right word is for Mickey Loomis. Look, Lord knows he has not done a great job since Sean Payton left. But you can't give Mickey Loomis all the hate and negativity and say everything that's wrong with his franchise, because Dennis Allen's gone now. Everything that's wrong with his franchise is Mickey Loomis's fault. But you don't want to give him any credit from before when they created the dynasty or whatever, the mini dynasty or whatever. It's not really a dynasty. They only won one Super Bowl, but you know what I mean? It's not, they had Sean Payton and Drew Brees. They got Sean Payton and Drew Brees because of Mickey Loomis. Period. Mickey Loomis was just as part of all the personnel changes as anybody else. So I'm not taking up for Mickey Loomis in this franchise over the past couple of years because they've stunk. They made some really bad decisions. But I think the last two drafts have been pretty good. Again, time will tell if that's the case or not. They took them a while to address the glaring problems that offensive line, and that's why part of the reason why this team is in the shape that it's in now. They never decided, they didn't go out and get a young quarterback when they should have gotten a young quarterback multiple times. I have a problem with all those things. But you can't say the Saints will continue to be at the bottom until Loomis is no longer GM. I don't agree with that at all. I just don't. I think they have the right coach. We'll see. If time will tell. We still have a long way to go. And by the way, Mike Detillier is coming on in about 10 minutes. So time will tell. I get it. You're frustrated. But you can't say that. Yeah, I mean, you can say whatever you want, but you're wrong. You don't know that. Christopher Crump, happy hump day. Hope we can sneak one by Tampa this Sunday. JC, hello. Glad you're here. Robbo, where you been? Please, Saints, draft a good quarterback in April. Rattler is not the first string quarterback in the NFL. And you know what I think about that? Lewis Jacobson, good morning. I know our Saints have lots of problems, but now we lost our center. Seems like we always have O-line issues. It's true, man. Randall, good morning. And yeah, we need to add, I need to talk about the O-line. I'm glad I'm going to type that in here so I don't forget. There you go. Thank you, Lewis, for helping me. What else we got here? Trying to get to all of the ones I haven't touched yet. David +1. I have no issues with watching the NBA and NFL for the next few months. A lot of people don't. That's just I can't get in it. I can't personally get in. I will watch the Pelicans, not just because we talk about them here. I will watch them and I care about them. But as far as the NBA goes, I just can't get into it until after football's over as a whole. KD Brown, what the hell do you consider a good coach? Like, what is my criteria? I'm guessing it's doing whatever Jim likes. Dumbass of the week is here. Woohoo! It's been a while since we didn't have a dumbass of the week for like 2 weeks. You do realize the show is entitled Dattitude with Jim Derry. I give my opinions here. What would you like me to say, KD? Moron alert. Crawl back into the hole that you climbed out of. They got lights in the basement. Go down. We don't have a lot of basements in New Orleans, but go find one and climb in there. Adios. Saint for life. Who dat, baby? Randall says, history says LSU wins Saturday night. A&M hasn't won in Baton Rouge since joining the SEC. Predictions coming on Friday. You're getting ahead of us. Chad Gage is here. Let me know when Chuck starts so I can watch the Saints again. Until then, I absolutely can tell you what to expect. Oh, get out of here, Chad. You're going to watch. Get out of here. I know. Come on, man. Lance says 0.0 is agreeing with me. I think it's about my comment about the chances of, that Spencer Rattler starts all 17 games. I got to get to the Pels for a few minutes again. Mike Detillier will be coming on in about 5 minutes. He had something to do this morning, so he told me he was going to be running a little bit late. David Nola 985. I haven't seen you in a while either. They won't make the change until after the bye week. I think that if Rattler stinks this week again, they're not going to wait till the bye week. And again, I talked about this. There's no reason to wait. Okay. I don't care. Soft landing by why is the bye? What is the bye week? Why does that make things better? Why does that make it easier? It doesn't. It doesn't make it any easier. And they play Atlanta the week after the bye week. So, I mean, you're looking for a soft landing. There's no easy team. There's no team. The easy teams that the Saints have real chances to beat or have a chance to be at least be favored in or even with the Jets and the Titans. That's at the end of the schedule. Miami is coming up in about, I don't know, a month or so. There's no reason to wait. There's just not. I'm not sure. I don't know. UBN, why are we even talking about NFL versus NCAA team? I'm not really sure what that means. Robbo, crazy as it seems. I took LSU with the points. Got a hunch the Tigers will win. I got a hunch they're due. My major league impression of the day. One Smoke says he thinks LSU is going to bounce back this weekend. Doesn't think false hope. Saints get it done versus Bucs. It's not false hope the Saints get it done versus Bucs. Well, I mean, they're only 4.5-point underdogs. So I don't know. I guess it's not. I don't know. What else we got? I don't know what you're agreeing with. Respect at heart, but okay, cool. Let's see what else we got here. As we go on live TV, Ryan Ashay, good morning. Tell everyone to chill on the Saints. They are who we thought they were. Absolutely. Chuck will have his chance and it'll probably extend to next season. So buckle up. It might, man. Unfortunately, I think you might be right. Katie Brown, bye-bye. You have been banned. Numbnuts alert. Bye-bye. We're okay with, we're completely fine if you want to be, if you want to disagree with me, great. I'll show it. We'll talk about it. We can talk about things. But when you start being disrespectful, you're going, bye-bye. See you later. Adios. That's how we roll here. You're done. I don't, it's when we started this show, just gonna be straight up. When we started this show, I probably was very reluctant to ban anyone because we didn't have a whole lot of followers. Now we do, and I don't need you. And if you're an absolute numbnuts, you're just gonna be gone. Real quick, again, I probably will go back to this later because I do want to talk about it. I'll maybe bring this up with Gabe. But Pelicans, I'm sorry I don't have more time to talk about the Pels. Again, we're in football mode right now. Again, I will have a segment, I promise, coming up on the Pelicans within the next week or two. And we will have a guest that will talk about the Pelicans kind of within the next week or two. Maybe we'll get Rod Walker on. David Grubb is living in Michigan now, but maybe we'll get him on. We will talk about the Pelicans in the near future. But I will say this, again, opening night tonight. You can watch it on Fox 8. It is the Gulf Coast what is it? The Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. My friends at Fox 8, I know it's on there. It is on at 7 o'clock. The game begins, I think, at 7:10. The Pelicans are 4.5-point dogs at Memphis to get the season started. Again, that's tonight. And the interesting thing about the Pels, and look, we can get into their personnel later. And, the good news for the Pels is it looks like some of the injuries are starting to heal up a little bit, and they should be okay. Derek Queen, we'll see how much he plays. He's coming off his wrist injury, the 13th pick. He should be able to play tonight. Jeremiah Fears, everybody's looking forward to see what he can do. So I'll be watching. I'll be interested. So Pelicans play 7 of their first 10 on the road. They have their home opener on Friday. So after that, they got 6 of 8 on the road. After that, they only have 2 home games. Let's see. They have 3 home games before they come home to play the Blazers on November the 12th. So that's quite a road stretch to start the season. They also have in there, they are home against the Celtics on October the 27th. They're at the Nuggets on October the 29th. They play OKC on the road on a Sunday afternoon. Why would they do that? Why would the NBA play a game on a Sunday afternoon? Anyway, on November the 2nd. So anyway, we will get to the Pels more as we go forward. But it's time to bring on our friend to the show, the man who coined the term football purgatory, the great Mike Detillier. How are you this morning, Mike?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Appreciate it, Jim.
And I actually want to start off. I put the wrong slide up because I actually want to start off with LSU this morning. And my title slide for people who cannot see the podcast, so listen to the audio only version. My question of the day is, just how hot is the seat under Brian Kelly's butt?
Well, when they owe you $53 million, it's somebody else's seat that might be hot. Look, this is a major disappointment for this team to have 2 losses this early in the season. The one loss I get, the Ole Miss game, you could almost see the tsunami coming, so to speak. You could almost see it coming. But I think he's still the coach here in 2026. I know a lot of people want to, unless he doesn't want to be here, he's still going to be the coach here. Now, he's going to have to make some changes on his staff on offense. But man, this team, they can't run the ball worth a lick at all. And it's all misjointed on offense completely. Defensively, you didn't play Pavia very well. And he caught you. He caught you that day. But offensively, you had so many opportunities in that game and you let it sort of slip away. So we setting up for post game at Acme Oyster House in Baton Rouge. And all of a sudden, man, I see Caden Durham take off running, and I knew Caden's a former track star, but he is battling an ankle injury and he gets caught at the 1 yard line. So I tell my producer, Luke Augusta, we're in trouble now. And he was like, yeah, the 1 yard line. I'm like, yeah, but will they get it in? First play, jam. Second play, okay, you get the touchdown, but you got a motion penalty. And then he looked at me and was like, man, you were right about that. You were right about that part. Short yardage has not been good for them at all. And so this is a team that spent, $20 million in the transfer portal. This is all about developing players and getting them to play to their top level. Nussmeier, I get it. He has the injury and he's trying to fight through it. Their offensive line is not good. Every week is the same story about, man, I like what I see with my offensive line. Where? Show me where you see
not
that
this week.
You really like that offensive line. It's not good. And that's, I said this weeks ago, people repeated it to me. When he was at Notre Dame, they were like the conveyor belt to the NFL for linemen. The conveyor belt never stopped really good offensive linemen to the NFL at Notre Dame. It's not been the case here. Did you know Brian Kelly to be a passing quarterback type guru at Notre Dame?
No.
They were known for running the ball, offensive line, multiple tight ends, 12 personnel. I never forget they play Alabama in a championship game. I think it was that Final Four setup. They come out 13 personnel, 3 tight ends. And Pete Jenkins tells me this. I was like, damn, we ain't got the personnel. We better match up a little bit differently now if they're going to play 13 personnel. And they did that for the first 2 series, and then they worked out of it. That's what they were known for. We haven't seen any of that. Yeah. Jay Daniels mask your inability to run the football. Okay, people got caught up with all that. Oh, they ran the football well first 2 years. Yeah.
Because he had 1,000 yards rush.
Daniels.
That's right.
Come on, common sense. Sometimes I think people lose it throughout life, young and old. But man, their inability to run the ball, Jim, is alarming. I didn't think of all the things when Kelly got the job. I didn't think that's what we would be talking about 4 years.
Yeah, we're still talking about it,
and I think we'll talk about it next year too. All of a sudden, this offensive line is not going to come real physical overnight. That's not going to happen.
It's not just that, Mike, for me, and that's a huge part of it. That's the number one part of it for me. But however, you would think, and I think Harlan Berry's going to be a great running back. Time will tell. But for LSU has not for years now, for multiple seasons, not had running back depth. And to me, perfect example, Caden Durham goes out for a game, and now you're forced to kind of have a hodgepodge back there. I mean, remember the days when LSU would have a stable of running backs? I mean, what happened to those days?
Well, one, and this is cyclical, but it is happening because I see it. at all these camps and so many of them are now right in my backyard, so to speak, at Nicholls State. You get when they hit a line up, there are so many guys that want to play receiver today.
Yeah.
They all want to play wide receiver.
Yep.
When they say, okay, who's playing running back? They got a few hands. Jim, it ain't nothing like it was even 5 years ago. That's dramatically changed. There's a sea change that's going across not only college football, high school football in particular, when you look at it, of the top athletes were either playing quarterback or running back. Today, you know what they're playing? Wide receiver or tight end. And so we had a Louisiana line camp, and they got, some of these guys that come in, and I got to talk to a group of them. One of them, he's 6'3", he's 210 pounds, but he's learning, the techniques of blocking. The other one's 6'4", 215, both sophomores. So I asked him, what do you play on defense? Oh, no, sir, coach, I don't play defense. I'm a wide receiver. And the other one told, no, I'm a flex tight end. I play wide. I'm like, what? Yeah, none. The only time he said they use me is rushing the quarterback. And the running backs, well, we used to get a Dr. Elias's camp for the pro football camp. It used to be of the 400 guys that were there, it was a good 50 to 55 running backs. You know how many of them I counted this year? 23.
Yeah.
Jim,
it's the path to the NFL, though, Mike. It's the path to the NFL. And look, real quick, Dattitude podcast here, presented by Evangeline Securities, here with Mike Detillier on this Wednesday morning. But Mike, it is the path that is the path to the NFL these days. I mean, you look at the running back salaries versus the wide receiver salaries, and it's not even close. I don't know when this wide gap came in, and the Jamar Chase is getting with the top, he's getting what Alvin Kamara is getting in a 3-year contract in 1 year.
Well, a lot of it, Jim, has to do with 7-on-7. This is some of the kind of residuals that happened from 7-on-7 that most of the guys now that would have played halfback are now playing wide receiver now. And so there's a bigger and bigger gap. Are there still some really good running backs? Yes, there are, but it's fewer.
Yep.
And it's fewer in the state. And I can remember like 3 to 4 years ago, that was a kind of a large group of backs that left the state of Louisiana to go somewhere else. LSU's going to see one this week with Moss. He's right there in their backyard.
Yep.
And he goes to A&M. And I get it, that particular part about it. But, Jim, I think we are seeing it now in front of our very eyes. There's going to be a disparity here numbers-wise. I can go find receivers. Man, that part I can find in the state of Louisiana. Running backs is not nearly as many as we've seen in years past. And a lot of those running backs, because the high school games have changed. Now you see it. You cover it weekly. There's still the John Curtises of the world that run the football a tremendous amount, or it's option football. But a lot of it is what? 3 wide outs, spread the field. Man, and everything mirrors one another today.
Well,
it's just part of it.
You think you'd be able to keep the ones that you do have? Look, I do play-by-play for all Shaw's home games, and to me, the best running back besides Harlan Berry in the state last year was Jasper Parker, and he went to Michigan. I mean, how do you let a kid like that go to Michigan? I mean,
I think Parker looked at that and said, "Okay, where am I going to play quickest?"
He could have played at Helen. I mean, just because Harlan Berry was going
this year, though,
he absolutely could have.
And so that has to be something when you have all those meetings on recruiting. That has to be part of the conversation.
Yep.
That, okay, guys, look, we're going to have to do this a little differently. Maybe the numbers aren't there. maybe a guy who went somewhere else and isn't getting a chance, maybe let's go back and try to re-recruit that guy to come in here. And Brian Kelly was always known as a coach that would play multiple backs. He did it at Notre Dame, played a ton of them. At one year, I think he had 4 backs that had over 100 carries in a season. So he wants to run the football, but I think even he knows at this stage, his running game isn't good. His offensive line isn't good. He's got to beat people throwing it. And that one area where LSU's got talent. Now, they dropped too many throws, but is that wide receiver?
Right.
That part, man, they got him. They have wide receivers. The 11 o'clock games, to me, always look strange.
Weird.
Especially for LSU, always strange. But knowing who
it doesn't matter who the coach is. I never understood that. It doesn't matter who the coach is. It's just 11. Even when they win, they just look like they sleepwalking.
Yeah, and Coach O had told me this one time. Man, we try to redirect practice where we would have early practices and kind of simulate. And he said, Mike, none of that worked. None of it.
I think they just love playing at night in Tiger Stadium. I mean, it's
in mind over matter. And I think about Vanderbilt too. And going back and watch that game last week was that how close they came to knocking out Alabama.
Yeah.
They were inside the red zone twice. Pavia, he screwed the pooch, so to speak, on that deal. And okay, that last touchdown, okay, if you had money on the game, that mattered to you.
Yeah.
Really big time at it. Or if you picked it, you understood that. But that was really a 1-touchdown game. And Vanderbilt turned the ball over twice in the red zone with Pavia.
And so LSU returned the favor this past week.
Yeah, and so he kind of flipped the field. One of the things he's so smart at, and I give it to him, veteran quarterbacks, and I hear it all the time at Manning Passing Academy. And Peyton is one who really gets on him about this. Hey, they playing man coverage, and they turn their back. Run the ball.
Exactly.
Running it. You saw Pavia was smart. When he spotted man coverage on his receivers.
With no spy.
He was like, okay, everybody's good. I'm running it.
We've loved Blake Baker, but I thought his plan this week was not good.
Bad.
It would look like the LSU defense from a couple of years ago. And
I have coaching friends of mine that always tell me this. Mike, we come up with game plans. I'm going to clean it up. That it goes right down the toilet.
They clean it up.
I got to clean. I can't say this on here. But no, it's right down the toilet chute. I mean, it doesn't work. And I think with that game plan Blake had, and I think he's a hell of a coach. I think he's a really, really good defensive coordinator. That wasn't a good one against Pavia because almost like, and you could see it as the game went along, he was waiting for them to get into a man coverage situation. But Jim, the other thing too is, and doing this over 40 years, I can't remember too many quarterbacks that got that type of leeway to do what they want to do, like Diego Pavia does on offense. That 4th and 1 play was not supposed to be a pass.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a readout where he ran the ball, almost like a quarterback power play. Man, what? I ain't running that. And
he's earned it, though. He's earned it, and I know the players love him, and everybody over there loves him. Robbo Combs got a question for you. LSU doesn't seem to be fired up to play football under current coaches. Do you feel that that's the case?
They're playing with no confidence. I think nothing gets you fired up to play more than confidence in what you're doing. You've heard me say this before. I don't believe anything in that momentum crapola. Momentum lasts you long enough to get hit in the mouth the next play, okay? But confidence, you can carry that because I've done it. I know we can make this work. And even in bad situations, I told this yesterday to John Summerall. We had our Tulane Tuesday segment with him that, I give Jake Ratzloff a lot of credit. Okay, things didn't exactly work well against Army. And Army's a tough play because sometimes of what they do on both sides of the ball. But late in the game, hey, guys,
found a way to get it done.
I got it. Y'all just believe in me. And he
didn't hurt when you got Chaz Preston, no.
Yeah. But I really think what gets overlooked is the touchdown throw to Bryce Bohannon. That was a huge play because, okay, now you got them tied and the defense, bang, you stop them. That was almost like a turnover. When you got 1, 2, 3 punt, that's almost like a turnover. And then, the crazy play with Chaz. Let me say, man, I've saw so much St. James football with Chaz. I've seen Chaz make better catches than that. And
that was a crazy catch.
I always would tell his dad, Sean, this. I would say, Sean, people always say, Chaz is a 50-50 catcher. Man, they throw that ball up in the air in high school. Wasn't no 50-50. It was like 85-15. Chaz is coming up with it. And to see that ball, and I didn't think Summerall had a good view of it, but he told me yesterday, he said, Mike, I really did. Because he said, I was the closest coach to the sidelines on the catch. So he said, I see the safety get over. I see the ball bounce, and I'm like, oh, no. And then he said, all of a sudden, Chaz breaks to the ball, and he pops it, and he played defensive back, and then he played receiver afterwards. So
is he an NFL receiver?
I think he's got a chance to be. I think that first year, he battled injuries.
Yeah, he did.
He's become a much more, I'll use the term, crisp route runner. Sometimes he would sort of round out the routes, but I think he's become a much more crisp route runner as a player. And also, too, you got to look at it. You haven't had a lot of time to gain rapport with Jake Ratzloff because he comes in late into the deal. So I think Chaz is going to get that opportunity. Look, Nick Saban recruited him to go to Alabama.
I know, yeah.
He said, well, okay, it didn't work out. Okay, I do know who gave the approval to give him the scholarship. I do know who said, yeah, I want Preston. I want Aaron Anderson. That doesn't come down to some assistant coach.
Right.
Not if Nick Saban was the head coach.
Right.
Come down to Nick giving that scholarship. And so, I think Chaz has got an opportunity. It's funny how LSU's offense early on in the passing game really revolved around Aaron Anderson. You think about all the guys that
they missed him this past week, even though he was down on the field, he's still hurt. But
all the write-ups are about Chris Hilton and Nick Anderson, and and I get Trey'Dez Green.
I mean, Trey'Dez Green.
I would throw him the football a lot more.
So would I.
They do.
I talked to him 12 times.
I'd be pumping it to him. But it's funny how him being injured and their offense has not played nearly as well. No. Aaron's something now. Now, again, he's not the biggest or the fastest, but boy, can he make some plays. But we go right back to what we talked about in July and in early August. You can't make a lot of plays if you're horizontal.
No, that's true.
And I still believe this. And all these metrics or analytical geeks, they want to argue with you about the running game and everything else. If you can't run the football, you're in trouble.
At any level, in my opinion.
And offensive line is a big part of that. They get no push up front, none.
Yep.
And so everybody wants to give you, let me give you those PFF grades about their pass blocking. Man, I could care less. Give me their grades on the run blocking.
I agree wholeheartedly. No,
it's never good on it.
And look, we'll get to it in a minute. It's part of the reason why the Saints are 1-6 because they have not been able to run the football, especially as of late.
And you look at the Bears up until the Monday night game against the Commanders, they had not run the football well.
No,
they really hadn't. They had struggled in that category. But I know what Ben Johnson wants to do, okay? Because a lot of that comes from what he implemented in Detroit. And, man, if I had those backs and I had Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm running the football. And that offensive line is good. What I didn't know going into the year was the after effects of the retirement of Frank Ragnow. Frank was one of the best centers in pro football. They had all training camp to work it out in preseason. Game 1 didn't look pretty at all, but they have gotten better running the ball, Detroit. But Chicago, they went through a deal where the starting centers from Atlanta, they get Joe Tunney from the Chiefs, they get Jonah Jackson from the Rams. Those 3 guys had never played together. It took a little while.
Kind of like LSU's O-line.
Saw the last 2 weeks how good they can do it, and they gave it to you. And
we'll see if they continue that, though.
They were going after the Saints defensive front.
Yeah, that was the plan from the get-go. There's no doubt about it. I just don't know if going forward, but I don't know going forward in that division, especially if they're going to be able to run the football like they did against the Saints. The Saints defensive line wasn't ready for what they were manhandled up front.
I've always liked DeAndre Swift. You give him a little hole, he's going to get through it. Monogamy. I have a friend of mine that actually trained him in the offseason.
Okay.
He's a Mississippi guy, but he's lived in Jersey now forever, for the last 30 years. And he had told me, hey, Mike, I'm just telling you, I know you got him as a late round pick guy, and I agree, but he's a lot better than that. Just like Pacheco, he was a late round pick too, and he's turned out to be a good player. He said he'll never be a 1 in the NFL, but he'll always be a good number 2. And man, and Kevin kept pounding him, and
especially in short yardage situation. Mononga I thought he was excellent, and he's been good, really.
And so when you get over 220 yards rushing, you're moving the stack.
Yep.
You're moving it.
One last question on LSU before we move on. David +1 wants to know, will Brian Kelly be given an ultimatum? Either Joe Sloan goes or his future will be in question.
Well, I don't think you got to give him the ultimatum at this stage. I think he sort of realizes I got to make that move. And the other part, too, is offensive line coach.
Yep.
You've
been talking about that.
Now, that might be a bit tougher one because Coach Davis has been an elite recruiter.
Right.
What he's been able to bring in high school-wise. But you're going to have to make changes there. You're not getting any physicality, any push up front along the offensive line. With Joe Sloan, here's what I don't know, and I'm not trying to evade the question. How much of this is actually Brian Kelly himself? Brian getting involved with the play calling with Joe Sloan, because offense, that's Brian Kelly's baby. That's his deal. That's like saying, when the Saints had Sean Payton, okay, Pete Carmichael's going to be the play caller. You don't think Sean had something to do with that? Come on.
Something, everything.
So what I'm saying is, how much of this is actually Joe Sloan? How much of this is actually Brian Kelly
himself? Could be. Maybe that's part of the problem.
And that's maybe part of it, of the mixed messaging that's going on. With that, and so, but there's definitely going to have to be some moves made to change what you have, and I think everybody in life would like a do-over on one thing, where you work or personal life, whatever. Denbrock leaving to go to Notre Dame,
right?
The after effects of what's happened to this offense since Denbrock left.
There also was one other thing. I promised one of our regulars that I would show his and ask his question. Daryl Hayden wants to know your thoughts on Taylon Green from Arkansas. Thanks in advance.
Timmy Brando and I talked about this, I think maybe a couple of weeks before the season started, and he was like, give me the guy. You always got a guy. I said the Arkansas quarterback. I don't know what's around him. But I saw him at Boise State, and I've seen his improvement as a passer. I think he'll have a big, big year. Now, he's on a bad team. They couldn't stop a sneeze.
No, they can't, but they sure can score points.
Man, they can put points up on the board. And I knew Bobby Petrino would be good for him.
Yeah.
And you see him, it's similar to what I've witnessed at A&M with Marcel Reed. Last year, you were more fearful of Marcel Reed as a runner, not necessarily a passer.
Right.
Watch A&M this year. He's different. He's seemed to feel better. He's more accurate. He spots the secondary targets much quicker. Now, he's got 2 new receivers now, which really help out. But, man, I think the world will tell him. I was a guy that –
I figured you did.
Man, and Timmy was – I think it was like 3 games into the year, and he sent me a text. Damn, that's pretty good to tell you. I was like, thank you, Timmy. I appreciate that. But he said, hey, you always hit on one. And that was one of the guys I thought really could make a big improvement this year. I'd heard a lot of things about the USC quarterback. And from people I really trust, that they were telling me, hey, that guy can play. Now, he's going to make some mistakes because he doesn't have a tremendous amount on the resume. And you saw him against Notre Dame, and the weather conditions were bad. They couldn't run the football at all. But, boy, he made some plays when he had to. And halfway into the 4th quarter, they had an opportunity there. I don't know who called that. Well, it had to be Lincoln Riley. I'm sure he'll blame the offensive coordinator. But I know how Lincoln is, too. But, man, who called that reverse and try to throw the football off? That's a dumb call. In those conditions, you can't do that. Can't do that. But
I love it.
Boy, one thing you did see, how good of a football player Jeremiah Love is.
Yeah.
Running back for my goodness.
Yep.
And they'll have all the analytical. Oh, you can't pick a running back in the top 12 picks. Okay, explain me Bijan Robinson. Explain me Jahmyr Gibbs. Now explain to me Jeremiah Love. Look what that guy did. And USC knew he was coming. Could not
stop him. Yeah.
Could not.
Well,
that's when, as a coach.
That's Notre Dame football right there.
Yeah. That's when you feel helpless as a coach. You have players in position. They can't make the play. That was all about Love saying, man, just give me the ball.
Yeah.
Them guys can't stop me.
No
Freeman was, okay, coach, I got it. Just hand me the football off. And, man, Marcus Freeman, after a tough start, he's got that team playing with confidence. That's why.
Seems like they always have a tough start. They always have moments where they're just like kind of fall a little bit, and then they get themselves together, and they've been doing that since Brian Kelly was coach, in my opinion.
But man, Marcus Freeman, and now he's got some experience now at quarterback with Carr, who I think's a pretty doggone good player too. Defensively, they do have their issues in the secondary.
Well, I know this. You and I both had a lot of high hopes. Well, not high hopes. We both thought the world of Clemson, and they certainly kind of spit the bit again. It's we could do a whole show on college football, but
no confidence.
No, and I'm starting to worry about wonder about Dabo Swinney and what his future is there. I mean,
I think if it ends bad, he may not. Won't be.
I mean, it wasn't long ago when they were talking about him taking over Alabama. Now, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to him at Clemson. I mean, well,
look, after game 1, they were having people in Alabama talking about Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Think about that. And it's so funny. And my producer, Charlie Long, always talks about this, about, man, when we go to Manning and, okay, I'm 3.5 weeks off of knee surgery, knee replacement. I'm walking with a cane. So Charlie was, I got you, boss. Wherever you want to go, I got a chair for you. And he was like, pick the guy. And so we walking around, and I caught Nussmeyer, but I stayed a little bit too long. We were talking about knees and every other body part we got. And I saw Ty Simpson, and I told Charlie, let's go here. And he was like, who is that guy? I said, Ty Simpson. And he was such a nice guy about it. He was like, Coach, you okay with that? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And he talked about dealing with the pressures of being the quarterback at Alabama.
Yeah.
And I could
He's
tell
handled it
his
okay.
voice, his confidence as a passer. So I went watch him the next day, and man, he's throwing it. And man, all the throws are so nice. And so I'm standing up by the fence, and he throws a really tough pass. And I told him, hey, just don't do it against LSU. And he started grinning back at me. Yeah, I got you.
All right, we're going to move on, and I want to talk a little bit about the Saints here. But before we do, real quick, Mike Detillier here on the Dattitude podcast on this Wednesday morning, presented by Evangeline Securities. Evangeline is a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run business. And just as importantly, it can figure out what that business is worth. Is it time to reach out to Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt? You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right, moving on to the Saints, Mike, and the headline is big changes. Obviously, this team has big changes in store for them. Some of them are going to be this year. Some will be later in the year. Some will be in the offseason. But no question, I think when we talk about this team at this same time next year, it's going to be almost a completely different team.
You're just starting to rebuild. Okay,
exactly.
We about that all off season. This isn't what it's going to look like. Okay, you just starting the rebuild of this football team, and they'll call it a restructure. And come on, you rebuilding. It's the dirtiest word in the athletic language. Rebuild. Ain't nobody want to say it, but you are what you are at this stage. I really thought they had a chance against San Francisco. I really did. It was the one game I really kind of messed up with the Saints. I thought they had it and really had a shot to win that game. But yeah, I got to give Mac a lot of credit, and he's done a great job with a less than stellar supporting cast in San Francisco. You want to talk about a guy who has earned every nickel coaching, Kyle Shanahan. All the injuries he's had. And
it's amazing.
Guys here and there.
It really is. It's amazing.
It's unbelievable to watch the 49ers today, to see what they've went through and to see their record. It's amazing. But I agree with you, Jim. It's a major retooling, rebuilding of this roster. You see it already with, no hesitation, Kelvin Banks at left tackle. It didn't take long. And the injuries force Jonas Sanker to the safety position, because I really thought they had something with Julian Blackmon. I think he's a good player, just can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
And then you got the situation with Quincy Riley. And Quincy's one of those guys, he's got one trait I love in a cornerback: amnesia. Okay, one bad play is not going to affect the next. You got some guys that freak, when they get beat. And then, oh, my God, and it affects the next play and the next and the next. One thing with Quincy Riley, man, what? I got it. No problem. I messed up that one, but I'll get you the next time. We're seeing more and more of Danny Stutzman at the linebacker.
Yes, we are. That's a good thing.
And one of the things when he got picked, and we went in the kind of right afterwards, was I think he's really a better middle linebacker than he is at the will position. Yeah. And that may eventually be his spot.
Yeah.
Mario Davis isn't going to play forever. But you're seeing more and more of Stutzman. And I think we a stone's throw away from Tyler Shuck playing. I think it's right there.
That's where I was going next.
Opportunity.
I was going to ask you, look, and I know a lot of people are saying after the bye week and all this, and my thing has been this, Mike, and it's nothing. I have nothing against Spencer Rattler, but I think at this point, if you don't realize right now that he is not the future and not the long-term answer at quarterback for this football team, then I think you're just not looking with open, unbiased eyes. There's some people that they want it to be the quarterback so bad they can't see that. So my thing is, if he's not the long-term answer at quarterback, what are you waiting for? I'm not saying Tyler Shuck's going to be the long-term answer. We don't know the answer, whether he is or isn't, but he deserves at least a long-term chance, a long-term, test or whatever you want to call it. And to me, 10 games is about the right amount of time to find out whether he is the answer at quarterback. And I just don't know what they're waiting for.
Well, that's a call of the head coach. And
right.
He would know that being a former quarterback himself, and, to have Nussmeier and to have, other people that are there that have played the position. But let me just say early on, Rattler was not the reason they were losing games.
That's true.
The Bears game, he cannot have another
that's
game.
The only game. And look, in his defense, to me, that's the only game that they lost because of he was that bad. Literally, of those 6 losses, that's the only game. But still, Mike, that's not a reason. The eye test, you know football better than anyone I personally know. And you and Coach O. And I just think that no one can really think that this guy could be, even though it wasn't his fault. I asked people like, even the people that like him, he's been okay. He's not been bad. Not bad isn't good enough. I just don't think that you can't, anybody who knows football can look at this guy and say, this guy doesn't have potential to be a long-term answer as a starter. As a backup, sure. But I just don't think he is a long-term answer as a starter. And that's why, to me, at 1-6, you're just wasting time by not at least finding out what you have in Shock.
I think that moment is about as close as it can get. And I get the knee-jerk reaction would have been, okay, play him against Tampa Bay. But almost look a little bit, Jim, like it's been set up. That we have a time frame, from the coaching standpoint of this is when Tyler's going to go in. And I think you see it at practice. We're not there to watch it. We see it at practice, how he processes information. I said this in the summer that I really believe this would be similar to what happened a year ago at New England when Jacoby Brissett was the starter early for the Patriots. And almost like a time frame passed, and then they passed the baton to Drake May. Now, I'm not trying to compare Tyler Shuck and Drake May.
Right,
Drake May
that's a special cat.
What I would say is a star quarterback in the NFL.
No doubt.
He's that good. But even last year with New England, man, those first couple games that Drake played, he was god-awful. He didn't play well. He couldn't process the information quick enough when they would throw it at him. Now, the last 4 or 5 games, I thought Drake May really played well. He could see the field better. He understood where to go with the football. There was a little bit of a process. Not everybody's going to be Jaden Daniels, okay? I try to tell this to people. Well, Jaden Daniels did it. Okay, Jaden Daniels is the outlier, so to speak. Not
absolutely, he is.
Everybody is going to be like him. You're going to see a lot more sort of the Baker Mayfields of the world happen than you will what you saw with Jaden. A guy bounce around, and all of a sudden it clicks. Sam Darnold. I
was going to say, yeah, same thing.
And so you're going to see that more than you would a guy like Jaden. But, Jim, it's not far. And if it becomes what I think happens this weekend, I think he starts against the Rams.
Yeah, and and I know in the grand scheme of things, that's not even kind of close to ideal. You don't want to go out and play him against a team I particularly think has a legitimate chance to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm not saying they're the favorite, but I don't think anyone would be shocked if the Rams won the NFC this year. They're that good. So that's not the place you really want to do. But at this point, it's like there is no parachute landing. There is no easy way to do it. The bye week doesn't make a difference to me. None of that matters. Just to me, you got to get him in as many games as possible, because if he really stinks, if you got to go into next year's draft. You got 10 games left before the 2026 NFL draft. And I kind of don't think they're going to take a quarterback, but
no, I don't.
I really don't. But however, if Shuck gets 10 games or 9 games or even 8 games and you look at him, you're like, okay, this guy isn't the future either, then I think you kind of have to consider it and reconsider it. They have to know And I just think that you need to give him at least half of a season. And to do that, he would have to start, like you say, Rams or maybe at Carolina, one of those two games. But I think it's got to be soon. And if they lose this game this week, which they're only 4.5-point dogs, which kind of surprises me, but they lose this game and they lose the next week and they're 1-8. You're just wasting time after that, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's got to get it, and you got to take that evaluation. There is one thing, and Drew would always talk about this to us about. There's one thing about doing it on the practice field. It's another thing doing it in a real game, and that's why he was very much that he would have even thought about giving him a complete redshirt year. But he said, "I know that's not going to happen. He's going to have to play somewhere down the line." But he felt as though there is nothing like it. And Bobby says the same thing about there's nothing like playing in a real game. You can do it in practice, and you can in the film sessions. What I'd have went here, I'd have went there with the ball. Nothing like playing.
Or you can be bad in practice. You could be like just kind of mediocre in practice, and just like, I don't think this guy is that great. And then the next thing you know, you throw him out. And that's my point of even Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore obviously knows more about Tyler Shuck than anyone. Okay,
yep.
He's seen him in practice and can evaluate his quarterback. But to me, it's like you say, you can't give any real evaluation to anyone until they actually get in a game situation. Maybe he turns out being great. Maybe he stinks too. Like I said, he's got to get a full evaluation. There's only one way to do that, and that's to get him in there.
The crazy thing about, I think, which most of us missed, was that we thought that this year was going to be the year of the quarterback, in college football.
Right.
And it maybe has been the year of the quarterback, but not the quarterbacks we thought.
No.
Okay.
The kid from Indiana.
All of them have, because right now, Mendoza from Indiana, Dante Moore. Now, the one thing with Dante has not started a lot of games in college football at Oregon. Now, he
didn't look good in the Indiana game.
He has really impressed me. And even the Indiana game, that really was not his fault. Indiana matched up with them.
They were good. They're so good, man.
They beat Oregon. I've never seen that in Eugene. Okay, I've seen Oregon get beat, but not like that.
Yeah, I know.
And so then, after you get past the quarterbacks, who are the two best players in this draft class? It's easy. Both at Ohio State. I don't have to leave. Caleb Downs, the safety, and Arvell Reese, the linebacker from Ohio State. Arvell was the guy, I had talked to a couple of Ohio State coaches that told me, we got a guy, and he was sort of a part-time player last year. He ain't going to be no part-time. He going to be part-time and people on the field, partly dissecting them. And, man, you watch Reese play, it's like he got twins. It's like two of them out there.
Yeah.
He has become the revelation this year. So Reese and Downs, for me.
We all know the Saints love taking Ohio State players.
Well, they got a lot of intel there. Put it to you that way. They got a lot of intel at Ohio State with one of the coaches there, who's done a great job coaching the wide receivers. So, and he's connected to Jeff Harlan. But I just think at this point, you got to figure out what you have at quarterback.
Exactly. 100%.
You got to figure out what you have, because if you have to go back to that, you'll certainly have a high enough pick to do it.
Well, and the longer they wait, Mike, then the less time they have to give a real evaluation, which says that they are going to go into 2026 with likely Tyler Shuck as their quarterback. And I mean, to me, that's just okay. If he turns out to be the right quarterback, great. You drafted him with the 40th pick of the draft. I get it. That's who you think is going to be your future. But the fact he hasn't played yet is kind of telling that maybe Moore isn't as impressed with him as he was back in April.
See, that part I don't know.
We can't know because he's not going to tell us.
I don't know what the mind read is. If you just watch practices, which I didn't go to because of my leg, and you watch preseason, which I watch,
right?
Who's the better quarterback?
I mean, Rattler was the better quarterback in preseason. But Rattler also had experience. There's no question Rattler was the better quarterback in preseason.
Experience made all the difference in the world. So my thing, how do you get experience? You got to play.
Yeah.
You got to play.
Right.
So there comes that point for every coach with a young quarterback to say, okay, kid, hey, I believe in you. Get in there, make things happen. Hey, and I'm not going to pull you if you make a mistake. Because I do think one thing, Jim, once you hand the baton, then you can't pull it out of his hand.
No, I agree with that.
Once you hit the baton, that's
it.
The
only way you can do that is if you like, okay, we're not going to go forward with this after the season's over, which they would never. I can't fathom them doing that with a second round pick, even if he plays.
Because your reputation is
absolutely
on the line.
Right. You can't admit that, like, we wasted a second round pick. So, which is another reason why they're probably not going to pick a quarterback in the first round of next year's draft. However, though, you never know. You could go out and there's not a lot of free agents available this coming off season. But I mean, I guess that's a possibility too, which is more the Saints' MO anyway. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to just sit here and talk about Chuck versus Rattler. My point is of this whole thing is, and I've been clear on this. I mean, I would have even 100% agree with you. Rattler was the better quarterback in preseason. I still would have gone the other way because this football team, neither you nor me or anyone else who has common sense of football thought this team was going to be anything but what they are right now. They've actually probably played better than I thought they would play overall.
This is my biggest disappointment of the year. Their defensive front seven. I thought that unit would be much better.
I agree. Yeah, that's true.
Than what they have been.
Yeah.
They've been gashed in some games.
Yeah.
I thought that was something when Brandon Staley took over and he changed from the 4-3 to 3-4. But no matter what you ran it, that you would be better stopping the run, and you haven't. You haven't been better.
24th, it's on the screen there. 24th in yards allowed per game, and that number keeps going down. And then you can't be 24th in this league and expect to be good at anything.
And then last week I would have said the surprising part is you really haven't turned the football over a lot. Then what happens? You turn the ball over 4 times against the Bears. Though sometimes you the saw, and sometimes you get your hand caught in the saw. The Bears were one of those teams that, man, you better not get your hand too close to the saw. You better not get it too close because they are really good in creating turnovers. And that's exactly what they did. And teams like that go through this, I think, really in stages where you get 3 turnovers here, 4 turnovers here, 5 turnovers here. And so, man, it does happen. And now you up against Todd Bowles' defense. Todd will show you 30 different looks on defense. And what would make me a little apprehensive if I'm Rattler is my best football player on the team was Eric McCoy. He's lost for the year with the torn biceps injury. Now, okay, it's either going to be Fortney, who you got.
We talked about center.
Season. People have brought up Ruiz. The only thing with that is now you changing 2 positions, right. When you pull that. And look who you stare into the eyes of, Vita Vea.
Yep.
And that big dude, man, he makes a lot of plays from the interior. And he puts the fear of God in you because of what he can do inside, because he's so quick for a 360-pound man of how well he can move out on the field. And a couple plays when I watched the film on him, he'll get underneath the pads of a center and he kind of forklifts him right back into the lap of the quarterback. And boy, you see the quarterback, man, his feet are moving and they're moving even faster now because now you got that big guy with a head start. And, with Fortney, he wasn't going to make the Jaguars team. They were going to cut him. And you bringing him in, now he's your starter. I feel bad for McCoy because I know in watching film, he's one of the top 2 or 3 centers in the league. This team offensively fell apart when he wasn't there last year up front.
Right.
Now, I think, okay, you do have your 2 bookend tackles. Those 2 guys are really good. And I'll be honest, I thought Ruiz stunk preseason, training camp. But the last 2 games, he's been solid. Like I thought he would play.
Has he been solid because the rest of the line hasn't been good and he's kind of been masked?
And then Penning, he is what he is. And I keep telling people, and even Bobby and I have gotten this discussion about it. He's like, Mike, just move him inside. I said, Bob, he's got technical skills that you can't clear even playing guard.
Right.
That might work for Mekhi Becton. It's not going to work for Trevor. And you look at Trevor, he's got the same issues that he had at tackle he's got at guard. He's so high up. Man, those tackles come off the line of scrimmage. They get under him. They push him back. Because he's locked back into the quarterback. So his first impression is, you're not going to beat me, so I'll grab you. Now, they don't call holding on every play, but they literally could on that. That's an area, too, you're going to have to look at in the offseason and say, we got a long discussion here.
They need to draft a guard.
Yeah, back-to-back years, too. You better start to think about maybe picking a guy that could play center.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
And that's nothing against Eric, but, man, I can't lose him back to a third year that early in the season again and expect my offense is going to all of a sudden play. I think it's the second toughest position on the football field to play. That's center. I had Mark Schlerf on yesterday. And he was like, man, cuz I agree with you. It is so tough to play center because now you're the captain up front. You making all the calls. But most importantly, and Steve Court would always tell me this, you know what you got to do? Make sure the snap gets to the quarterback.
he still he talks about that all the time. Whenever I hear him, he's still talking about that in the pregame show. He still talks about that. You talked about and just kind of shifting gears before we let you go, but talking about this game in particular. And one thing you brought up stuck with me. It's not just Vita Vea, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their defense hasn't been great against the pass. However, they played some really good ones. And the interesting thing to me about Spencer Rattler starting this week is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the first team that he's going to face for a second time. And we saw somebody commented earlier, and we saw what the Tampa Bay coaching staff did and Todd Bowles did in the second half of that game last year when Rattler came in. And this was early. It might have been, I think it was the first start he actually had. But the adjustments that Tampa Bay made at halftime and then played him again in the last game of the year. So actually it gets a third crack at Tampa Bay here. Tampa Bay knows Spencer Rattler. If anyone knows him, it's Tampa Bay. Yeah,
the other thing, too, is they were the first team last year that really said, I'm going to attack the Saints defensive line running. And they really went after the Saints in the Superdome. The crazy thing about Saints Bucs, and I've seen all the coaching changes, player changes, the Saints play the Bucs better in Tampa than they do at home. Okay? If you look throughout the year, and I know early one year they were able to beat Brady. I think it might have been the COVID year. They caught Brady that particular year in the Dome. But the Saints have played the Bucs better in Tampa than they have it's a crazy gig. But I think the Bucs it's real simple game plan. Run the football against the Saints.
And Bucky Irving probably coming back.
Yeah. And my deal is let's get pressure on Spencer Rattler. We saw what Dennis Allen did. And one of the things with Coach Allen, he likes to use safeties, corners coming off the edge or a calculated one right up the middle. Well, Bowles does a lot of the same things, and he puts, that's 7 men up on the line of scrimmage, one peels back and one rushes. You saw what Brisker did early in that game. Kevin Byard did. They went after Rattler and sort of rattled him a little bit. Now, he got in a little bit of a groove late. You know why? They didn't do it. They went back into zone coverage. And, man, he saw it and was bang, 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 bang. Got a touchdown. Come out of halftime, they played the same thing. But then Allen changed it again. So Todd Bowles is a master of it. He knows how to work you. And he's been up against Rattler. He understands. One of the things in this offense is to take away the best player.
Yeah.
You see teams saying, I think if I can take Kamara out, then you figure out which one could potentially beat us.
And Tampa Bay's Russian defense has been their Russian defense has been real good. They're 11th in the league, which is a little, again, I think that's a little lower than how good I think they really are. So I think they're underrated. AK he hasn't been able to get much going the past couple of weeks. And now without Kendra Miller, I mean, it's going to be even harder to do. So even more falls on the shoulders of Spencer Rattler this week with a lesser than stellar offensive line. It's going to be really tough for Rattler to do it. We'll see what he does when he knows his job is now probably on the line.
Listen, you can say, I don't feel extra pressure. You feel pressure.
Of course you do.
In a player at that position, you playing the spot, you understand, what's on the line here. And if I have another game like Chicago, I know the following.
He's not going to play the second half.
No,
if he plays the first half like he plays this past week, I don't think he's going to make it to the second half. That's my opinion. If he turns the ball over 3 times, I don't see how he comes back in the second half.
See, I don't know enough about Kellen Moore to say that.
Yeah,
because all coaches
that's true.
A little bit differently.
That's true.
And some coaches are. I don't like to pull a quarterback at halftime.
Yeah, that's true.
Injured. The strange thing is, the Seattle game was an anomaly. They didn't look ready to play that game, and to be honest with you, they looked out of focus against the Bears too. That the other games, if you get them past the first quarter, this football team played about as well as they could play. But you always come to that moment, and Pete Jenkins always tells me this, Mike, all coaches go through this in life. You say, you know what? We're just not good enough.
Yep.
Sometimes
that's the answer. You're just not good. Sometimes you're just not good enough.
And unless you play a perfect game, we're not going to win. Or a near perfect game, or the other team helps you. Like what the Giants did. How many games will you get with all those turnovers? Okay, you're not going to.
5 turnovers.
That's going to happen like that for you. Right now, bottom line, for everyone involved, I think most logical Saints fans know they're just not good enough.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. And I think we've been saying that. And the over-under was 4.5 wins, and I took the under. And now you look at it, I don't see any way they win 5 games. I think if you took the under 4.5.
Okay, I got the 5, and I'll be honest with you, even that.
I don't see how they win 5 games.
4. But you play the Titans and the Jets.
Right, and you got to win 5 games to me. You would have to beat the Titans and the Jets. You probably would have to beat the Dolphins, and then you would have to beat either the Falcons or Carolina once. And all those things need to happen to win 5 games, and I just don't see it. And by the way, you're talking about a Miami team because they're going to fire Coach Gucci really soon. And so we've seen teams when they fire their coach, they play inspired football after the fire of their coach. And I can tell you right now, he's going to be fired before the Saints play them in week 13.
Oh, no, there's no question about it. Stephen Ross I think he's in his mid 80s. The one thing he don't have and never did was patience. Okay. And the one thing you don't want to be in charge of is a team that has an older owner who's impatient. He's going to pull a plug on you real quick. I mean, that's bottom line. And then you see it out with the Titans. it doesn't matter if you playing them the week after they fire a coach or not. They're not very good. Now, I'm a big fan of Cam Ward. I think Cam's one hell of a football player. But he's a one-man show on offense. They have virtually nothing else. The offensive line is bad. Receivers drop passes. They got all kind of penalties. Defensively, they're a little older, but their secondary is as leaky as a strainer. And the Jets, oh, my God. If I'm Aaron Glenn, man, I'm thinking about, are they really committed to me? Man, I hear the old talking. Now he's kind of throwing the quarterback under the bus. Hey, I'm next.
Maybe the Saints got lucky not getting Aaron Glenn. Remember when the Saints wanted Aaron Glenn? That was their first choice, probably. I mean, there's no way to really know, but I think we kind of talked about it. I mean, I think that's who their first choice was, Aaron Glenn. I mean, so maybe the Saints lucked out by the Jets getting him first.
Yeah, and
I don't know.
You never really know about a coach when you bring them in.
Right.
You think about. I go back to college football with this. Was there a hotter coach on the market a few years back than Billy Napier?
Oh, no.
Done at University of Louisiana.
No.
And he goes to Florida. And, man, I can put a quarter and go 100 miles from Gainesville. And I can grab 80% of my players because there's so many people in Florida and so many players there. And it never worked out. All the coaches since Larry Coker coached at Miami of Florida, and it hasn't really worked out. Now, Cristobal, he had one wet the diaper moment last week, but I think he's got the team on track. Florida State, similar situation.
Man, no kidding. What a disappointment.
Bob Bowden, and that deal was anybody can coach here. Look, Coach Bowden. Okay,
right. I guess not that easy.
Jimbo Fisher had success there, but it wasn't enough.
Right.
So, hey, Jimbo was smart. Hey, give me the money. I go to A&M. And, we're going to bring in Mike Norvell. He has that one big season. And then after that, Mike's in trouble. Hey, so it's nothing. I think about last year when Michigan upset Ohio State. And I had picked Ohio State to win the national championship. And I said it on air a few times. Man, I'm getting all kind of texts and calls come in. Oh, Mike, your boys, they're no good. Now, I never heard back from any of them when they won.
Of course you didn't. We don't. We never do.
That part. But Ryan Day, what Ryan's doing this year may be his best coaching job.
I can't disagree.
That I've seen at the college level in a long time. Reasoning why, how many other coaches can lose 13 players to the NFL draft, 13 drafted players, and 4 guys signed as undrafted free agents, and look what he's put out on the field. It's staggering to see.
And they wanted to fire him a couple of years ago.
Ohio State is. And Ohio State people at the end of last year, they wanted him out.
Yeah.
After he lose to Michigan, Harbaugh's not there no more. Well, we got to take care of that. It goes to show you, man, coaching is a fickle job.
It really is. And fans and everybody else, they forgive you really quickly if you do just one thing.
Win.
And that's win. And it's the only thing that matters. And obviously the Saints aren't going to win this year. It is what it is. And Kellen Moore is going to have his opportunity to make some changes, but there's a lot of big changes to be made. I promised A-Town I would ask you this question before I let you go, and I will. Is the Kendra Miller experiment over with?
No.
Yeah.
What we saw from him this year was a much more mature young man, a more focused player. I think he thought the NFL was going to be easy. The night he gets picked, Deuce and I are sitting next to one another, and Deuce taps me. Yeah, I got a question for him. Oh, okay. So I said, Kendra, hold on. This is Deuce McAllister. Deuce, you got a question? And he's like, what is your goal in year one? And he's like, what? My goal in year one? Man, Alvin Kamara's going to be sitting the bench, and I'm going to be the starter. And, Deuce sort of stopped him and said, whoa, 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 young buck. Whoa, 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 young buck. You talking about Alvin Kamara. Yeah. And Kendra went on with it about, man, listen, I got the ultimate confidence in my skills. I'm the best running back out there that this team has. And he went on and on. And you know what? He acted that way. I'm the best guy. But I don't need to put in all that work, all that commitment. And I've been told by different players, sometimes he didn't know every play. And sometimes he would go in the wrong direction.
Which is why he got in Dennis Allen's doghouse.
And real quickly. And so everybody wants to blame Dennis Allen for it. Here's my deal. Everybody matures a little bit different in life in different ages. The 21-year-old Mike Detillier is a lot different than the 26-year-old Mike Detillier. Okay? And I may be more immature today than I was back when I was 21.
I'm not.
But in some areas, maybe for me. But, because your mind thinks you still young again and you're really not. But I think with Kendra, what you see in him is a more mature player, a more focused player. And now, for the first time in his career, he's got something that he's really going to have to fight, because that's a major injury to come back from. And doing it kind of by yourself. You rehabbing by yourself. It's tough, but no, experiment's not over with Kendra Miller.
I just hope he can find a way to stay healthy, because we can't really know what he is until he does.
But he showed me enough to tell me.
Yeah.
He can play at this level.
Yeah, he can. I thought he looked good when he got in there.
When he got his chance. And for me, I think the biggest improvement was he was always a guy that used his speed to try to get to the edge. This year, you saw a different Miller in that he ran much harder between the tackles.
Yeah.
That's not a knock on him about immaturity. Because, come on, you can say that about a lot of people in business world, in sports world. The maturity sometimes doesn't happen right when you become a professional, okay? Sometimes it's a little bit farther down the road. And he got numerous opportunities because he was a third-round pick, okay? If he was a seventh-round pick, I think Dennis Allen would have said,
"Been going already." Yeah.
Oh, what
I agree.
really like in Devin Neal is of how he handles his business. I don't know what type of back he's going to be in.
We're going to find out.
But if you saw when he got in the game, he picked up a blitz coming up, man. And Drew Brees would always tell me this about Mark Ingram, about how underrated Mark Ingram was as a player. And he said, I'm not talking about as a runner or a receiver. He saved my bacon. A lot of times, okay, that linebacker or that safety screaming off the edge, and Mark would pick him up. And I would just step up, make the throw. A lot of times that's not on a stat sheet.
Right.
You got to watch film to see him pick up that guy. And sometimes young running backs, because they haven't asked them to do it. They have not asked it. Okay, I'm a running back. I just run the ball and I catch it. No, you got to learn how to block. Even Deuce will tell you, first year with the Saints, he talked to Ricky Williams. Ricky said, you better learn how to pass block. That was part of it. And Ricky was, for a guy that really was a bell cow runner, and Deuce was too at Ole Miss.
Right.
Ricky was a really good pickup guy to pick up the blitz from the inside. They didn't do a lot of that then. It was more off the edges. Today, though, it's much more between guard, center, guard. Because now they let the snap go, and they got a little bit of a delay blitz, and all of a sudden the guy comes racing in. So the center, the guard has to pick it up, or the running back. Or like Bobby said, I could have played 4 or 5 more years if the running backs would have picked it up. If I had Ironhead all those years, because that was Ironhead's deal. Man,
Vaughn Dunbar didn't do it for him?
What? No. But he tells a story about Ironhead. He said it was one game, and he said, man, we could see that the safety was eventually going to blitz inside. And, so he said, man, I turned the head and I told him, hey, listen, he's like, man, Bobby, don't worry about it. I got it. So Bobby said, sure enough, 2 plays later, Bobby's back to pass. And he said, I heard this sound, and it would sound like 18-wheeler ran into the side of a mountain. Arnhead hit that safety, and he was like, Mike, his head kind of like bounced off the ground, not once, but like 3 times. It was like a cartoon deal, like bang, bang, bang. And he said, and Head would laugh and laugh and laugh. And so he told the guy, hey, come again inside the next play if you can play. And Arnhead, he was never in the greatest shape, but he always he always would take practice serious. So, when they had all these little drills, man, Sam Mills and Vaughn Johnson, and Sam and Vaughn both tell the same story. Man, I'm going up against Arnhead in these drills. Hey, where's the rookie? Hey, can get in there. He's going to take it easy on you. And he was like, man, it sounded like, a Toyota running over somebody. And Arnhead, he would laugh.
Who was bigger, him or Jerome Bettis?
Oh, my God. But Arnhead was like a big kid. He loved to play.
Yeah.
But he took his job serious. And Bobby has the comment about, Mike, it was like I was playing with 3 guards. He weighed every bit as much as the 2 guards.
He did.
That was starting. But he said, him back there, ain't nobody giving me a lot of pressure, because Arnhead would pick him up and like put him down. And he enjoyed that. And he said, think about his background. He was a heavy duty runner in high school, heavy duty runner at Pitt. And so he knew to stay in this league, maybe he wasn't going to be that heavy duty guy, but man, if you want to blitz, man, go ahead and try.
Yeah.
I'll just run you
over. Well,
guards,
you're right, because guards weighed about 280 pounds back then.
Right. Come on, he was always over 280 pounds.
Yeah, easily over 280 pounds. Yeah, he might have been the first 300-pound running back in the history of football. I don't know.
He was definitely over 300 pounds a few times.
At certain times, yeah.
Cameron, his son, would have a birthday party. They would cut the pieces of the cake, and they would want to give Head a big piece. No, I don't want a piece of the cake. Just give me what's left of the cake. So you have a big chunk of cake. And he thought all that was funny. Because he'd eat so much, and he pulled all kind of tricks at training camp, and that he'd grab an apple and a banana, and then he'd leave the training room. And Moore was like, man, Arnhead's really dedicated. Well, he didn't even know. He called up a taxi cab company. They'd pick up like 3 pizzas. They'd bring it to the training camp team, and Head would clean out the three pizzas that night. How can he gain weight? He's only eating an apple and an orange.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, God rest his soul, man. He was a fun player to have here. That's for sure. And you always a fun guest when I have you on, Mike Detillier. It's a lot of fun. And look, I wanted to have you on, and we never even mentioned your catchphrase except in the very beginning, football purgatory. Look, we don't know when the Saints going to get out. I'm just hoping that LSU can turn things around, and maybe at the end of the season, maybe they win all, but even if they go and just lose one more game, at least they can make some kind of success out of the rest of the season.
Yeah, I don't have a great deal of confidence in that, though.
Neither do I. I
don't know if the Saints are in purgatory right now.
No, they're not good enough to be in purgatory?
I think they're good enough to be in purgatory. You got to win more than one game to be in purgatory.
Well, you always say it's like, you got eight teams that legitimately you could see winning the Super Bowl. You got 8 teams that are sniffing the first pick of the NFL draft, and everybody else is in football purgatory. And I think you're right. The Saints are actually one of those bottom 8 teams right now. And I hope we're not sitting here next year talking about this at the same time next year.
I think we will be talking about similar stuff. I think you just starting the rebuild here of this football team. You're not in the middle stages or the quarter stage. You're just starting at this stage. And so I want to shout out to my guy, Jay-Z out in Colorado. He always listens to your podcast.
Yeah, he's on here. He's commented. He's in there somewhere.
To tell him hello. So Jay-Z, I didn't forget, but he always is a good listener. he always says you got the best podcast out there.
Well, I appreciate all my regulars, all my dad family, and I appreciate you, Mike Detillier, and you have become a friend, and I appreciate everything you do for me, and you have definitely helped lend legitimacy to this podcast, and I can't thank you enough.
Appreciate it, buddy. You take care, and I'll have to get you on LSU pregame this week.
Yep, anytime you need, and everybody check out WWL from was it 4? It's 4 to 6, right?
Yeah, they don't want me working overtime, so yeah, it's 4 to 6. Sometime I go a little bit longer. Bobby.
No,
I got to work till 7 o'clock on Wednesday. I was like, man, okay, I didn't negotiate your contract. Okay, why are you complaining to me? You only come to work 2 days a week.
Mike D, you would talk 4 to 4 if they let you. If they wanted you to, you would talk 4 to 4.
I sure would, and it's a great part of the year because World Series starting up. Friday, the NBA started up last night. What a great first game, with Houston and Oklahoma City. The Pelicans on tonight, and we flagship station of the Pelicans on WWL, and college football, pro football, man. And even if you're an NHL fan, that's right there too.
It already started. Yeah, it's there.
So, it's the crazy part of the year, and I'll put it to you this way: you can come to my house. I probably got 8 TVs in that range. I bet 5 of them are all on sports.
We all got Saints in the legitimate, the real way as wives for sure to put up with our mess. So.
Yeah, mine put up with a lot throughout her years, and so she don't know sports, and she knows not to ask me because I'm impatient.
Same way at home, home too.
I just kind of whatever you tell me, okay, that works. And she hears conversation, over the phone and stuff, but we don't get into no sports stuff.
Yeah, my wife leaves when I turn it on. She's like, okay, I guess I'll go in the back and watch TikTok.
Well, we got enough TV. She can go watch it somewhere else,
All right, Mike. Well, we will talk to you soon. I thank you so much. And anytime you need me, you let me know and I'm there.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, Jim.
Talk to you later. The great Mike Detillier, everybody. And, I meant what I said. He has helped, between him and Jeff Duncan and the greats around here, they have helped lend legitimacy to this podcast. And, that's why I just want everybody to know that that's what Wednesday's about. Wednesday's our guest day, and we try to have the best ones we can. And we have been very lucky. I've been very lucky that very few people that I've reached out to have told me no. And the only time Mike has ever told me no is when he had something else going, and that's been a very rare time. A couple times I think that we had a doctor's appointment or something he couldn't do. But pretty much if I ask him, he does it. And so I'm very appreciative of Mike for sure. Before I want to go back to a couple of Saints comments here, and then we're going to get to Gabe. We got to do Thursday night football, and I got to try to do this all in 11 and a half minutes. Let's see if we can pull that off. But first, we told you earlier, we'll let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family run or probably how business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? That might be the best question. With all the Mike Detillier talk, how do they do it, Evangeline Securities? Well, that might be the best question of the day. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, Native New Orleans, Nick Braden, Ron Hemelton, the folks at Evangeline, they'll begin an extensive auction process from around the world. They'll maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, and none with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. Do we have to go through the whole list of things that aren't really important? I mean, you know what's really important and what's not really important. And what's really important is the rest of your life. You can get in touch with them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. A couple things. I mean, I know y'all are wishing and hoping Daniel Jones. That ain't happening. Somebody, I think UBN, Mac. I don't think they're going to let Mac leave San Francisco. If he wants to be unless he just doesn't want to be a backup quarterback. And you know what? He might not be a backup quarterback. I know they played Purdy a lot of money, but I don't know. We'll see what happes over there. All the way. Also, Breaking news. Gabe gave it to me earlier, and I wasn't going to jump in on Mike and announce it, but the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, are going to hire Tennessee coach Tony Vitello as manager, first coach to go from college to MLB. Wowzers. Crazy. Interesting. All that good stuff. Infantryman, good day. Dattitudinals, we're all here. Happy hump day. He likes Kellen Moore, but his refusal to admit what Rattler is and make the switch is concerning to me. I don't think it should be concerning. Look, here's my thing. I've said enough on the other side. You know how I feel about the whole situation. However, as much as I think it's time to make the switch, okay, when you're a head coach and you make a decision, and he made the decision that Spencer Rattler, and like Mike said, look, you don't go into a season, you don't go into any NFL season, no matter who you are, thinking that you're going to lose, right? You think you're going to win games, and the Saints had opportunities to win football games. So who was the better quarterback in the preseason? Even though I would have gone with Teleshuck then because I thought it was the right thing for a team that was going nowhere. Well, the Saints don't think they're going nowhere. They think they're going to win games. There was no question that Spencer Rattler was the better quarterback in preseason. Anyone who says anything different is just kidding himself. So with that, the head coach, the new rookie head coach, wanted to give himself a chance to win football games, and he thought Spencer Rattler was his best chance to win football games. And you know what? Maybe in the end, maybe we say he was the best chance for him to win football games. I don't think, and Infantryman, his refusal to admit what Rattler is, I think we've heard from him the other day and him saying the leash is short now. I mean, he's pretty much said that. So I think he's ready to make the switch if it comes to that. Will it happen? Obviously it's not going to happen as a start of this week, but I'm telling you right now, and I know we don't, Mike's also right about we don't know Kellen Moore. We don't know him well enough to know if he would actually pull the trigger or not. But one would have to think and I don't think Spencer Rattler will have as bad of hard to have bad of a first half as he had last week. But if he's horrendous and he turns the ball over, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Not even a little bit if he made the switch at halftime. I don't think it's going to happen either. It would have to be really bad. But I don't know. You can't keep going the way you're going. But anyway, back to your original point, Infantryman. I think he's pretty open this week since Sunday about where they are quarterback wise. Randall, will Mickey Loomis let Kellen Moore draft his own players? I think Kellen Moore did draft his own players. I think this past draft had a lot to do with what Kellen Moore wanted. And I think overall, if you look at it again, you can't judge a draft till probably 3 years after, in my opinion. I think it was a pretty good draft. So the answer is yes. I don't think there's any question that he's going to let him. Mickey's never been a guy that he's never been an overbearing general manager. He trusts his people. And you could say whatever you want, negative or positive about Mickey Loomis. One thing, and call it negative. Some people might call it negative. Some people might call it positive. But Mickey has always allowed his people to make decisions. And that's been a good thing, in my opinion. I'm sorry I haven't talked enough about the Pelicans. My intention was to talk about them for 5 or 7 minutes, and we talked about them for 3 maybe tonight. Pelicans on the road at Memphis, and they play 7 of the first 10 on the road. It's going to be a tough start for them. But Gabe's coming on, and we don't have a whole ton of time. I'm sorry I'm kind of shorting your time, but we know when Mike comes on, it's going to be a long show, and he's going to say what he wants to say, and I'm going to let him say what he wants to say. So we have been really good with our primetime picks. Your Monday night pick, you picked against your Texans. You were correct. I picked the Detroit Lions to cover against Tampa Bay. I was correct. Last week, I hit Thursday Night Football again, and I need to go back and look because I think I've gotten Monday night right like at least 3 or 4 weeks in a row. Anyway, I'm not just saying this to tutor our own horn. I'm saying this because people should be listening. And when you and I agree, we're right way more than we're wrong. So I'm interested to see if we agree on this one. Thursday night football tomorrow night. Again, we do not have a show on Thursday tomorrow. Next week we will. We will have a Thursday show next week. But the Minnesota Vikings are at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are given 3. They're 3-point favorites at home against the Vikings. It looks like Carson Wentz is going to start again. J.J. McCarthy out another week. What are your thoughts here?
They don't call him Carson Thursday Wentz for nothing.
Okay, so that means you're taking the Vikings.
I don't know if you know this trend. I don't feel strongly about this, but I will give you a trend. Carson Wentz is 7-0 on Thursday Night Football, straight up.
I did not know that. Mm-hmm. And I will say this. Oddly, I am a trends guy. I've always liked trends. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, I started this season, I said, I had a very mediocre year last year. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. I think I ended up a little positive for the year. But I decided I was going to go into this year and just kind of look at things and go more with gut and just common sense. And it's absolutely benefited me this year. So I haven't paid attention to a whole lot of trends, and I have not used StatHead nearly as much this year as I used it. I mean, last year I probably spent 3-4 hours a week on StatHead. This year, there are some weeks when I don't even open it. So it's kind of weird, but I did not know that about Carson Wentz. So is that your official pick, the Vikings?
I don't feel strongly about it at all. If I were to make that pick without knowing that trend, I would probably take the Chargers, but I don't feel strongly about it either way.
Darryl wants to know, how is Nico Collins?
Concussed.
That's probably not good. David +1 says trends are meant to be broken, like the Saints trend of beating the Bears last week. Yeah, but let me tell you something, David. I will say this. I am not one that usually, when it comes to trends, I will say this. If there's a trend of something that's a streak of 3 or more, unless I really like something, I don't bet against it. So let's just say I did not touch the Saints game last week, even though, and I picked them to win. I was kind of like, I don't know. I thought that they were going to win another game in the next few weeks. I thought it was going to be that one. Obviously, I was wrong. I didn't make it a best bet, but I kind of like a best bet here. And I'm going to say this. It's not necessarily have to do with trends, but I don't like where the Vikings are right now. I know the Chargers aren't in a great spot either. Don't get me wrong. And Harbaugh's, I think, he's going to be able to figure out. And they have trouble. They can't run the ball right now, and too much is on Justin Herbert's shoulders. However, that being said, the Vikings spent 2 weeks overseas, came home, and played the Eagles, and now have to turn around and go on a short week. They went from Europe back to home, and now they got to go to LA on a short week, and I don't like that at all. I think the NFL did them dirty, and I like the Chargers here, and I just think the Chargers are going to win significantly. I think the Vikings are about to go into a little mini tailspin. That's my opinion.
I don't disagree. I was also going to say that. I like the under. Both these defenses are pretty stout.
Yeah, they are. And it's funny. Herbert can put up like 300 yards, 350 yards in a game, and they'll still not score that many points, which is super weird, by the way.
If man. That's what they call him. They call him if man.
Well, he's not starting on my fantasy team this week because, as Charles was breaking, it's not really breaking news. I think we all knew Lamar was going to return to practice. No point was but I did pick up, since, I want Lamar to play if he can. And so my backup is Justin Herbert. So I picked up old man Flacco just in case last minute I hear that Lamar isn't going to go, and then I can make that move. So anyway. Didn't Minnesota have a bye week? They did. They did have a bye week, but they still had to spend 2 weeks on the road, had to play the Eagles, and now they got to go. They would play the Eagles Sunday at home. Now they got to go on the road in a short week. I just think it's a bad spot for them. So anyway.
Yeah. I did promise Randall before I went, I would talk about Tennessee baseball really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kendall Rogers of D1 Baseball has said that Tennessee will basically use guys that are already on staff to be their head coach or head coaches this season. Because you're not going to get a coach that Tennessee demands, or a program like that demands in October. It's just not going to happen. So
I
they're
ain't gonna
basically,
miss
no, neither am I. I'm so happy about this.
Yeah, it's like, don't get me started. Class, Daryl. So I'll give him swag. I don't know about. I guess I'm not saying anything.
He's saying Tony V doesn't coach with class.
Oh, he doesn't coach with class.
I'll tell you this though, Daryl. Tony V's a better coach than Dave Van Horn.
It's not a better coach than Jay Johnson.
Tony V has a ring. No, Jay Johnson's the best coach in college baseball.
There's no question. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have fun on Friday with our pick'ems, and who knows? Maybe we can all have a good week this week. Can't.
UBN keeps making jokes in the comments about don't listen to me on Friday. But hey, I had a good week last week. Went 2-1. I'm positive.
You know what? Here, hold on before we leave. In case y'all aren't here Friday, I'm gonna play this whether he likes it or not.
Uncle Big, can we make some picks today? Well, can we please?
I mean, now that he told me that he stinks when I play that, I'm going to play it now. I mean, can we make some picks today?
I think UBN just took his headphones at work and
All right, well, I'll see you Friday.
Sounds good.
Wait, hold on before you leave. Oh, it's the Mr. Bill show. All right, anyway. All right, see you Friday.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And if you haven't been watching, I know not all of you watch Friday because it's a little different. And Friday is our pick'em show. And so the way that Friday works, Damon Singleton tells us about what the weather is going to be like wherever our teams are playing. Obviously, he'll tell us, oh, by the way, if you're going to the Saints game on Sunday, just a heads up, it ain't looking real good. The weather looks, I won't even say iffy. Looks terrible. Does not look good. Tiger Stadium on Saturday night, it could be messy as well. So we could have a couple of messies this week. Anyway, he's going to come on. And then, let's see. Then we got Zach Ewing is going to be on, and he gives us our Saints preview and our LSU preview. And we'll make our Saints and LSU picks. Obviously, Tulane does not play this week. And then after Zach goes, we have our pick'em segment where we have the most fun that we have all week long. If you've been missing, I'm just saying, a certain show host, this is week number 8 coming up. I think a certain show host has been 2-1, like, I think 6 times, maybe 5 times, 6 times. 1 week I was 0-3. 1 week, I think the first week I was 1-2. I think the other weeks I was all 2-1. I don't think I've had it. Did I have a 3? Oh, wait, I did have 1 3-0 week because UBN and I were both 3-0 the same week. Anyway, get ready for fun. And we got music. We got my daughter. Uncle Big Nick is here. Woohoo! Dun, 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 dun. It will be a circus. We hope you can join us. That will do it for us on this Wednesday. Of course, I want to thank today's guest, Mike Detillier, Gabe Henderson, and you. I'm sorry if I didn't get to every single comment in there. We had a lot of comments today. I got to as many as I can get to, but it's hard to interrupt Mike, okay? And I don't want to personally. I like to hear the stories, especially when he tells us things that no one else tells us. So we let him talk. Again, Wednesday, the Pick'em crew is coming. Damon Singleton will tell us about the weather. Reminder to subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. Click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live. Almost all the time. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. I say that next week where it's Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But if you click the little bell, you don't have to remember. Somebody will remind you. The AI will remind you. Whoever it is, Google will remind you. Whoever it is, you'll remember. And if you miss us, you can catch us after the fact on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Apple, Spotify, many more. And you can always find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. This might be our longest show in quite a while. Usually is when Mike's on. But we had a lot of fun, and we'll have a lot of fun on Friday when we will see you all then. So until then, take it easy, my friends.